Okay, let's dive right in. The world is changing, like really fast, and AI is right at the center of it all, shaking up pretty much everything. If you're an entrepreneur, or even just thinking about it, this is a huge moment. So in this explainer, we're going to break down a 6-step playbook that's all about how to navigate and really how to win in this new age of AI. Let's get to it.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack the massive opportunity that AI has just dropped in our laps. Then, we'll talk about a really crucial mindset choice you've got to make. From there, we'll walk through a proven framework for finding your idea, actually building the business, and finally, how to scale it for a life-changing exit.
All right, first up, the AI opportunity. What is this really all about? I mean, this isn't just another little tech trend. This is a fundamental, ground-up shift in how the entire world works.
You see, the thing about AI is that it's a general-purpose technology. And what that means is that it has almost overnight made every single business, every institution, every organization on the planet suboptimal. Seriously, every hotel, every software company, every little process can now be radically improved. And this presents a really clear choice. Either you see this as a world of endless opportunity, or you risk getting crushed by the sheer efficiency of it all.
And that, right there, brings us to a super critical point, how you react to all this massive disruption. Well, it all comes down to one thing, your mindset.
So on one side, you've got what we can call the employee mindset. This person feels like their value comes from doing a process really well, following the best practices. So when AI comes along and makes that whole process suboptimal, they take it personally. They think, oh no, I'm inefficient now. But then you've got the entrepreneurial mindset. This person sees the exact same suboptimality and gets totally energized. They see a playground of broken things to fix, to improve, and to completely transform.
So the question for you is, which one are you? In this new world where literally everything can be optimized, are you going to be a creator, jumping on the opportunity to build something better? Or are you going to be a consumer, just kind of passively watching as everything changes around you? That choice, right there, is everything.
Now, for those of you who choose to be creators, here's the really good news. There is a proven path. The whole game of entrepreneurship isn't as mysterious as a lot of people make it out to be. It can actually be broken down into these 6 distinct steps. And if you can master this framework, you will literally be ahead of 99% of people trying to do this.
So let's start where it all begins, with the first 2 steps. This is all about finding your fit. And this is so critical, because I'm telling you, 90% of aspiring entrepreneurs either mess these steps up, or even worse, they skip them completely.
Okay, step 1 is what we call founder opportunity fit. This is not just about having a good idea. It's about finding the right idea for you. And that happens at the perfect intersection of 3 things. First, your genuine passion, what you actually care about. Second, a customer who can make a payment. They have to have a budget. And third, a significant pain, a problem they are desperate to solve. When those 3 things meet, you've got gold.
Now, once you think you have an idea that fits, you immediately move to step 2, viability testing. And listen, before you build a single thing, before you pour tons of time and money into it, you have to test if anyone actually wants it. And the way you do that is by creating a minimum viable product, or an MVP. It's the simplest possible version to just see if people bite.
And look, this is a perfect example of how powerful that is. These are real results from testing 2 different ideas. On paper, they both sounded pretty good. But with the exact same amount of effort, setting up a simple waiting list, one idea got 720 signups. The other one? 4,500. This test proved, before a single line of code was written, that one opportunity was 5 times better than the other. Imagine all the wasted time that saved.
Just think about that for a second. Simply by taking the time to nail your founder opportunity fit and then properly testing your idea for viability, you leapfrog 90% of the competition right from the very start.
Okay, so you've done the hard work. You've found a validated idea that fits you perfectly. Now it's time to actually build. This brings us to the next 2 critical stages of the journey: getting your product right and then getting it out into the market.
Step 3 is all about achieving product market fit. This is where you get your first 30 to maybe 150 real paying customers. But the goal here isn't just to make a few sales. No, the goal is to listen, to learn, and to iterate on your product. You are hunting for that special little subgroup of customers who just love what you've built, the ones who would be massively disappointed if your product just disappeared tomorrow. That's your sweet spot.
Once you've found that fit, you move into step 4, go to market.
At this point, your focus shifts to creating a simple, repeatable, weekly rhythm. And we call it LAPS. It stands for leads, appointments, presentations, and sales. Every single week, you're just focused on that system. This is the engine that starts to bring in consistent cash and gets you past that first big milestone, that first $1 million mark.
So after you've established that profitable rhythm, you finally reach the last, and let's be honest, the most challenging phases of this whole journey: scaling up your operation and then planning for your eventual exit.
Now, scaling up is totally optional, but if you do decide to go for it, it is a terrifying and exhilarating ride. Your whole business has to transform. You go from this small, scrappy team of maybe a dozen people to a much more formal organization of 30, 40, 50 people or more. You're not just the founder anymore. You need a real leadership team, a CEO, a CFO, a CTO, to handle all the growing complexity. And this leap, it requires you to really grow up as a business owner. You have to start thinking in much more advanced financial terms. You're focused on the quality of your earnings, and you're tracking new metrics like EBITDA. You're not just looking at sales anymore. You're meticulously analyzing the core profitability of the entire machine. This is how you build immense long-term value.
And all that value you're building, it ultimately leads to the final step, the exit. And here's the thing, whether you like it or not, an exit is non-negotiable. Every single entrepreneur exits their business one day. It's just a question of how. The goal is to make sure that when it happens, it's on your terms and for the highest value imaginable.
And let me tell you a quick story about why planning that exit matters so much. There's this entrepreneur who was all set to sell his company for $120 million. But by finding just 2 strategic buyers who really wanted it, a bidding war started. And he said it took him 15 years to build a $120 million company, and it took just 24 hours for it to become a $220 million company. That's the power of a well-managed exit.
So when you look at this whole journey, it's really easy to think that it's all about luck, but it's not. The best way to think about it is that entrepreneurship is like the airline industry. Yeah, most early attempts probably crashed, but the ones that follow proven principles, aerodynamics, engineering, checklists, they reliably take off and land safely again and again and again. This 6-step process, it's that reliable system.
At the end of the day, entrepreneurship is a narrow path. It takes real discipline, it takes a creator's mindset, and it takes a willingness to follow a proven playbook. So the question this all leaves us with is a really simple one. Now that you know the path, are you ready to walk it?